Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee Chat. How is everybody? Thumbs up, waves. Yay. Well, this morning we are joined by the health guy, and we had an interesting chat before we started our show this morning. And so I'm super excited for everybody to catch up to speed and to learn all about what David does in his business. David, to start, will you please just tell us a little bit of your history, what got you into your business, but also give us a few things that you can share with us about your personal life that will help make you relatable to us. And so, climbing mountains is not going to be what makes you relatable to me. That's just something I aspire to, not something I do.
Well, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was fit and trim. However, life gets in the way. And like most things with, work responsibilities and family obligations, I stopped exercising, started eating fast foods and convenient foods. And before I realized it, I gained 50 pounds. And I got my wake-up call in July of 2016 at age 61 when the doctor told me, based on my lab results and I was fat, I had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack. So he gave me two options: lose weight or find a new doctor, because he had been after me for 8 years to lose the weight. And if I did lose weight on a diet, I gained it all back, sometimes even more. This time was different. The light bulb went off, and during the next 4 months, I shed 50 pounds, which was 25% of my total body weight. More importantly, I've kept it off. And then, as you mentioned, in June of 2016, at age 67, I hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm also a former divorce lawyer, and I'm a world-class expert at playing casino craps. So there's something you may not have known. And now I want to help people, improve their health so they can shed a few pounds, have more energy, better mental clarity, all without breaking the bank.
I love that. And so, yeah, fun fact, right? My father-in-law is a professional gambler. So, I am not a gambler and I can never remember the rules of the game. And so, he plays slot machines in Vegas. And when I was probably 18 or 19, he was quite a bit older, obviously, and he would give me tons of quarters and tell me, and this was before you put a card in to play, like you had to actually put quarters in. He'd give me a bucket of quarters and tell me sit there and play all night. Um, and then he only did that a couple times because every time he'd come down, he'd be like, "Oh, you're pushing the wrong buttons." I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just pushing buttons." So, but you could get free beverages while you were playing. And even though I was underage, they did serve me because my father-in-law told them I was of age. So, fun fact. Yeah, I did that. I don't drink anymore though. Only when I was trying to gamble and had no idea what I was doing. So, tell me about Life 42. Where did that start? How did that come about?
Well, Life 42, there's two explanations I give. One is Douglas Adams says from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that the answer to everything, the question of life, universe, is 42. So that's the fun fact. 42 is 42 days. It's 6 weeks, 7 days of attempting to do seven simple tasks that most people are able to do. The question is, will you do it? And sets your up for building new habits. So I don't advocate diets, I advocate lifestyle because everybody's different. Some people like beef, some don't. Some like seafood, some don't. Some eat chicken, some don't. So everybody's different, and that's where we came up with the 42 day, Life 42.
I like that. I like that a lot. Um, and so it's a 42-day program to get started
It's
to
a
better
jump
health.
start to get you started, and then everybody usually just keeps going because again, things come up throughout the year. Sometimes there's holidays, there's special occasions, sometimes there's a death in the family. It could be a parent, a child, a spouse. So everybody's dealing with different situations, different crises. So it's to get you through those, rough patches also, so that your habits are automatic, so that you're doing the healthy things without thinking about it.
I love that. And so tell me, you went from being a divorce lawyer to a health coach. I understand that you came to the realization you need to lose weight, But being told by somebody that you need to lose weight and actually implementing, going through the steps to do that, what did that look like from when you, I want to know it all. I want to know, like, when you left your doctor's office, what was your mindset? And
My
because there's a lot of
mindset,
doctors, you can change doctors. It's not a big deal.
my mindset was, oh shit, I don't want to die.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Was your doctor fat?
No.
I love that. I'm going to dwell on that for a second for business sakes because so many entrepreneurs I meet are like teaching something. They have something they want to teach, they want to share, they want to whatever, but they're not living it. And we
Well,
would not go to a fat doctor to learn how to lose weight.
I'll give you a great example. My wife and I were in Costa Rica, and I had lost the weight, and I met a doctor at the resort at the beach who was extremely overweight. He told me that he had to lose 70 pounds to get a hip replacement surgery because his orthopedic surgeon would not operate him because he couldn't get through all the fat. So he said he lost the 70 pounds. He still needed to lose another 70. And he was bragging that his average patient weighed between 300 and 400 pounds. And I just looked at him and said, why are you bragging that your patients are that heavy? And he just said, I don't know. It's just, I work with them. His wife on the beach was thin and fit. It was interesting because then he said to me, he says, well, when you get to be my age, you'll understand. And I said, I think I'm older than you are. He says, no, you're not. I said, well, how old are you? And he says, I'm 59. I said, oh, I'm 63. He looked at me. He says, no way. I said, yeah, and walked away because he was embarrassed. But again, that's the health professional. 60% of nurses out there are overweight and they're in the health industry. So I don't call it healthcare anymore. I call it sick care or disease care because they're not helping you get healthy. They're just treating the symptoms.
Right. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. So you were 67 when you hiked Mount Kilimanjaro. Um, Tell me how you found the time to do that because that's not, I mean, you can be fit and in shape, and we have Jessica on here, and she is fit and in shape, and she just rode her bike for 6.5 hours yesterday. And I went, no, I sat on my porch swing. So, how do you go from being overweight to hiking a mountain like that?
Well, 90 to 95% of our weight issues are based on what we put in our mouth. It's what we eat and drink. So exercising is extremely important for overall health and fitness. However, it's a myth if you want to reduce weight and keep it off. Um, so that's the first thing. The second thing was I'm blessed that I live 2 miles from the White Tank Mountain Trailhead here in, Waddell, Arizona, which is near Phoenix. So I was able to go out for an hour or two and go for a hike, and it's steep enough where it helps me, train for that.
I see. And so, how long did you train for that?
I train for at least a year with 6 months being fully intense. So I would go hiking at least four days a week, sometimes more.
And what does fully intense mean? So, does that mean that you're doing it with weighted packs?
Yes, I would carry a full backpack with the water and everything and just go hiking, go for about 2 miles one way and then come back. So it's a 4 mile hike. I only counted as 2 miles because that's how far I went. So I got extra in there, but it would take, maybe hour and a half to do it.
I see. All right. So you've talked about the fact that our weight issues are tied to what we're eating and drinking. So what are some of the deceptive deceptive marketing tactics for the food industry that make us think we're eating healthy when we're really not?
Well, a couple examples. The first one that comes to my mind is Cheerios. Uh, it's not heart healthy. If you look at the ingredients, you wouldn't want to put it in your body. Not only that, even though it's endorsed by the American Heart Association, Cheerios paid the American Heart Association for that endorsement. So people are being deceived that way.
That's
Another,
yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about them being paid for it.
yeah, same thing with the American Diabetic Association. They get paid to endorse certain products.
Ah. I didn't think about that. I know that my sister and her family drink skim milk. And we always have this argument. They think I'm going to die because I drink raw milk. Let's talk about that for just a second.
Well, you're drinking the good stuff and they're drinking the processed toxic stuff that's been adulterated. And that's what we were talking about earlier. It's not the food that we're eating, it's what they've done to the food that we're eating. And
Yeah.
so with milk, I personally don't drink milk. I eat yogurt, plain organic yogurt. And then I also eat cheese that is grass-fed or preferably from raw milk. So I'm with you on that.
And
And
the
it,
difference is once you've tried something that's grass fed, it does take a second to acclimate, if you will, to it, but it is so much healthier for you. So everything that we eat here on the farm is grass fed, and we also don't do any hormone or antibiotics or anything like that with any of our animals. And so it's a different flavor for sure. Now, we went grocery shopping this weekend, and I was just kind of thinking, my husband's going to be busy working all week. Usually he makes me breakfast. What could I do that would be quick and easy? And I found some pancakes, some blueberry pancakes, and they're pre-made, and you can just pop them in the toaster. I was like, well, that's got to be better than like toaster strudel or something like that. And I flipped them around and read the ingredients. And before I even start reading the ingredients, first thing I do is look at the size of the ingredients. My husband and I always joke about that, but no kidding. Blueberry pancakes with this many ingredients. I was like, eh. So I grabbed a bag of frozen plain blueberries instead. And I got them home and I thought, you know what? I'll just add some lemon and some homemade ricotta and I will make lemon ricotta pancakes instead. So much easier and better option, but the ingredients are killing it for us.
oh yeah, people when they read the nutrition fact panel read it wrong because they read the calories, which are big font. Then they read how much, sugar is in it, how much fat, how much protein, sodium, and then the ingredients are at the bottom in very, very tiny font that people are hardly able to read. And so they don't want you to know what you're putting into your body. Um, Gatorade is another example. When it was created in the 1970s, it had 6 ingredients. Today it has over 13, and the only two original ingredients are water and sugar.
Oh,
You wonder. Also, in 1972, I was working at McDonald's in 73, and we would actually have to peel the potatoes, slice them, blanch them, put them in the refrigerator overnight before you deep fry them. Well, they at that time they also introduced the frozen French fries, and they come in a box. And one of the staff members I remember saying she wouldn't touch it. I said, "Why?" And she says, "Well, think about it. Number one, they have to add chemicals for when they freeze it in the processing, and number two, how do you think they keep them from exploding when a frozen object is put in hot oil?" So, and to
I've
think
never
about
thought
it,
about that.
yeah. So again, back in the 70s, French fries were basically, potatoes, oil, salt, and that was it. And today, if you look at the ingredients of French fries, there's probably at least, 13 to 20 ingredients, if not more. Another thing, hamburger buns. One of my members asked about the difference between homemade hamburger buns or good hamburger buns and the processed ones and why they last so long on the shelf because you can buy a package of hamburger buns, put in your pantry, and look at it 6 months later, there's no mold and it looks just as fresh as the day you bought it. And again, when I did the research on it, for hamburger buns, there's about 6 or 7 ingredients. If you look at what's in the commercial processed hamburger buns, there's about 30 ingredients. Again, all chemicals.
Yep, I agree with that because we have a guest house and for Christmas one year we had burgers while everybody was here and I put the extra burgers in the fridge out there and then nobody stayed in the guest house or got in the fridge or if they did they didn't say anything. But I went out there a year later and there they were. It was disgusting. And I threw them to my chickens and my chickens wouldn't eat them.
Well, talking about chickens, I won't eat chickens here in the States because unless it's farm raised like you do. But if you look at the size of a chicken in the 1940s and 50s compared to today's chickens,
Right.
the chickens today are about 4 times bigger. If you look at the labels on the packaging of chickens in stores, it'll say 20 to 25% vegetable broth or water added. Why do they add it? Because they want to add weight because they sell it by the pound. Um, my wife bought what she thought was four breasts of chickens. It was actually two. We cooked it. The dogs wouldn't even eat it. My mom did the same thing. She bought some chicken thing. It was four in a package. It was only two. She said she didn't even bother cooking. She just threw it out because it didn't look normal. It didn't look
Right.
right.
Right, that's interesting. And so, also, I've heard the argument a lot that it's too expensive to do grass fed. And so I'm just going to say, if you're in an area where you can raise anything, it is less expensive for you to raise it yourself. And so we just processed a cow, and what that means is that we raised it from the time it was born to the time it was I want to say a teenager, but it's not. I mean, it's like 2 years, 2.5 years to be the good size that we want it to be to eat it. And then we put it in the trailer and took it to the butcher and they slaughter it for us and give it back to us. And so we ended up an average of we paid $6 a pound is what it cost us all in. And that is everything across the board. That is your standing rib roast, that is your ribeyes, that is your ground beef, everything. When we divided what we got back, the amount of meat we got back, which is always less than what you take in because they keep the bones and the skin and whatever. So, but the amount of meat we got back for the price that we paid and the price of what it cost us to feed it and raise it came out to $6 a pound. And I don't think that there's very many places, if anywhere, that you can go buy ground beef for less than that.
I agree. The other thing is eating healthy is not as expensive as people believe. Like you said, the example I use, I will buy pasture raised organic eggs, and it's usually anywhere from $10 to $12 a carton. So it's about $1 an egg. And people are like, why are you paying so much money? You can get a dozen for about $3 of regular eggs. And I look at them and I say, if you go through a drive-through and you order an egg sandwich, you're paying $6 or $7. So you're going to pay $6 or $7 for an egg sandwich, but you think paying $1 for an egg that's healthy for you is too expensive? It doesn't make sense. Again, people don't think that way because they're conditioned to think, oh, I need to spend less. And again, when I was growing up, high fructose corn syrup wasn't introduced until the late 1970s, 1980s. Uh, Fat-free wasn't introduced to the late 1980s, 1990s. Those didn't exist. So when people say, well, when I was growing up, I ate this stuff and it was fine. No, it's different stuff. It's different processing, different chemicals. Again, if you saw how things were made, I don't know if anybody has seen the video of how they make the chicken McNuggets for McDonald's, but if you saw that, you would never touch the stuff. It's
Right.
not chicken. It's
Right. And I will say on the eggs, my husband makes eggs here every day. And so, from the home farm girl's view, and my husband tells me this, for some reason we had some eggs. We had three eggs. I think my sister left them here. She came here and made something. She brought her own eggs. So we had three eggs that were from the grocery store. And what we found is that they cracked super easy. And the yolk cracks when you're trying to cook them.
yeah.
So if you get a brown or chocolate or beige egg from the farm. Those are easier to crack than a blue-green sage colored egg. And the yolk is not as thick. So, and I'm just tell you the differences here. When you take the blue-green sage color egg and you crack it, it's harder to crack. It's more like cracking something that is porcelain. You just really have to make a purpose to crack it and then put it in there. But your yolk cooks not as quick as the brown yolk cooks, if that makes any sense. And then when you boil them, and I do boiled eggs a lot because I love protein, and so it's quick, easy to have boiled eggs. The blue, green, and sage eggs, the peel comes off in one peel, and we don't do anything special. Like we throw them all in the same pot, big pot, 60 eggs in it, boil them for the week, and those peels come off in one little piece, as opposed to the other ones come off in multiple pieces if they're farm raised. But the ones from the store, you have to work to get those off. It's like they're not as mature as they need to be or something to that effect, so that they didn't develop all the way or something. They don't have all the qualities they should have. I know that. And when you look at them, and y'all that eat just regular eggs from the grocery store, you should get a farm fresh one and a store one and compare them. compare all the aspects of them and crack them together, and you're going to be like, you'll probably be scared and not want to eat the farm one. You know why? Because the yolk is orange. Did you know the
Oh,
yolk is orange? It's
yeah.
not yellow, it's orange.
Yeah. The other thing about eggs from the store, what most people don't know is they go through a bleaching process, the white eggs, to make them uniform. Nature doesn't make anything uniform, but that's what they do. So you don't know what's getting through the eggshell membrane that's in the egg itself.
Yes, and if you doubt that, then go take a boiled egg and soak it in blue dye and then peel it, and your egg inside will be blue. So science experiments here. So let's
Well, Easter eggs, people who make Easter eggs will
oh,
find that with the dyes.
we don't make our Easter eggs, we just get them out of the chicken pen. They're colored.
Well, when they color them for Easter,
Yeah,
the
ours don't get colored though because they're already colored. I don't know that you can color the colored ones, but we have
I,
such a wide variety of colors. I mean, we don't have pink, but
yeah. Well, but that's the other thing is people don't realize that eggs come in different colors. They think they're all white or brown.
that's true. And they do come in all different colors. And I've got pretty ones. I love the sage green ones. And then I have some that look like bluebird eggs. They're really light, pretty blue. I really like those a lot too. All right. So let's not just keep talking about food. I want to know more about let's see, you have the 9 golden rules for living a healthy life. Can you share with us 2 to 3 rules that specifically help entrepreneurs, not just everybody, but entrepreneurs, have more energy for their business?
Sure. The first one is to drink more water because 75% of the US population is chronically dehydrated, which has a direct correlation to 73% of the US population being overweight. A lot of times when we think we're hungry, we're thirsty. And if you think about it, our bodies are 60 to 70% water. It's not fruit juices, fruit flavored beverages, sodas, or diet sodas. So drink more water, uh, at a minimum 64 ounces, or ideally one half of your total body weight. So if you weigh 180 pounds, drink 90 ounces of water. 100, 200 pounds, drink 100 ounces of water. Unless you're doing a lot of physical activity or outside a lot or in the heat like where I live, then you need to drink a little bit more. So water is very important. Uh, Second thing I would say, sleep. You need to get at least 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. And most business owners and entrepreneurs are going on 5 to 6 hours of sleep. So on average, research shows that a person who is sleep deprived will consume an extra 500 calories per day when they don't get enough sleep. Plus, sleep allows your body to restore and heal itself. So those are two big things. The third thing is to avoid highly processed, ultra processed, and manufactured foods, and do your best to eat real whole holistic foods. The example I use is orange juice. People think a glass of orange juice is healthy. It's not. It's loaded with sugar. It's one of the worst things you can put in your body. You're better off eating an orange than drinking the orange juice. And the reason I say that is it takes 4 to 8 medium-sized oranges to make one glass of orange juice. So that's how much sugar you're putting in your body. Plus, it's all been refined and adulterated.
I would agree with that. And I think so. It is hard to go for me, anyways. And everybody feel free to chime in. It is hard for me to go from 5 to 6 hours of sleep to 7 or 8. And I've been trying recently, and it just is like so. I put myself to bed early last night and I laid in bed for 2 hours, wide awake, but couldn't fall asleep. So I still ended up with the same amount of sleep. And then I justify it in my brain. I'm like, okay, well, I could have been doing something productive, right?
Uh, Again, I always advocate turning the screens off about an hour before you go to sleep. So turn off the computers, the cell phone, the TV, uh, read, relax, meditate. Um, to sleep better, a tablespoon of raw honey works great. You can either, eat it straight from the jar or just put in some hot water and make a tea out of it. And people are like, how does raw honey help you sleep? I don't know the answer to that. All I know is heard it from another health professional, and it works because usually honey is associated with getting energy, but it has to be the raw honey, not the adulterated stuff they sell in the store. The other thing is most people are deficient in magnesium, and magnesium, there's 7 different types, so you want to make sure you get the right type of magnesium or magnesium complex. And if you take that about an hour before you go to bed, that helps you sleep also.
So which magnesium is the right one?
I don't know offhand. I use the magnesium complex, so I don't worry about it. I get all 7 of them.
Okay. And so I would think that, and this is just off the cuff, I would think that if you're going to use a teaspoon of honey or a tablespoon of honey and mix it in hot water, take it before bed, I would think that I'm all about simplifying things. And so I would take my Manuka honey because it is packed clear full of good stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's really good antibacterial. And like if in our house, if we have a burn, we just put some Manuka honey on it. Um, and anytime the kids start getting a sore throat, we give them Manuka honey on a spoon. Just let them suck it off and eat it. But I would think that if we're going to do honey at night before we go to bed, we should do some Manuka honey that would help us boost our immune too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. The other thing is, again, probably 60, maybe 70% of the honey sold in grocery stores is not real honey, or it's a combination of different things. And the way you can tell is if it has an expiration date on it, it's not real honey, because uh, pure, real, raw honey has no, it doesn't expire. It doesn't go bad. It'll last forever.
I love that. And so we keep honey. I was just telling my husband we need another 5 gallon bucket, but um, honey does not go bad. Even if it crystallized, you can always, we just put it in a glass mason jar in a little bit of warm water and it's good as gold again. But I love that it stays good forever. And then, funny thing, I was talking to my brother-in-law the other night. My sister made sandwiches for dinner. She made paninis, Cubans. And so the recipe called to put honey butter on them. And so she went to the store and bought honey butter, and brought it home. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, don't put that on mine. And she's like, it's just honey butter. And I turned around. I said, there's no butter in it. She goes, yeah, there is. It says cream. I said, it says cream. It says canola oil, then cream. This, this is not butter. And my brother-in-law said, we don't have time to make honey butter. We have to use what we have. I said, watch it. Watch this. Here's some butter from the cow. Here's some honey. Zzz. There you go. Here's. He was like, oh, I think people don't think. And we really, when it comes to our health, if you love your business, you have to think about your health. You really have to think about everything you're putting into your body. And for anybody who says it's too expensive, I get it. Manuka honey, a jar this tall is $28. I know that that seems expensive, but then remind yourself that one trip through McDonald's is also $28. And let's just opt for something a little healthier. Michelle, you have a question?
Yeah, no, you were saying to just chime in, so I had thrown my hand up there. Also with the back to the magnesium, if you have a really good salt, like a very heavy salt, because water is one thing, but our cells are electrolytes, right? Like we are salt and water. And sometimes when you're drinking too much water that's just plain, then you can actually be depleting that. So we want to make sure that we put in the electrolyte balance with the salt. And one of the salts, like I've been studying salt a lot because there's a lot of lead content in a lot of the salts. We have to be careful. There's one actually at Costco from Australia that is testing to have no lead content, which is amazing. But what I do is I just keep like a bottle of it right by my desk. And you want the heavy stuff, the coarse stuff, not the little fine granular one. And before you go to take half a glass of water, you just take a morsel of this, and that gives you 3 different types of magnesiums, and 82 trace minerals, like as in, so it's and magnesium is a very water hungry molecule. So when you're drinking water and you just put a little in your mouth first, it's better than throwing the salt right in your water, because then it's all diluted and you're not sure, right, what you're getting. But yeah, really great that you guys are on. I love that you have chickens. I love that you, when you talk about health, our health guide there, that you're not just surface talking. Like there's a lot of deep diving that we have to do these days, because a lot of things are being bastardized and it's not in our control, only if we take it in our control. We just don't know if we just walk into a grocery these days.
Yeah, I
Michelle,
Right.
agree with Michelle.
What's that salt called?
Yeah, Michelle,
Uh,
what's the salt called?
You know what? I can run and grab it. I will show it to you. I'm in Canada, but I'm pretty sure that Costco across the board is like getting the same suppliers. Do you know what I mean? Like as in, because it makes it easier for them.
Okay, why don't you
But
grab that and we'll come
I'll
back.
run it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Keith,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
with the salt, most of the commercial salt being sold out there, now they're finding that there's microplastics in them, which are getting
Right.
into our bodies. And so you gotta pay a little bit extra to get the higher quality. Again, our bodies are incredible machines, and people take better care of their cars than they do of their own bodies.
And I'm just gonna say that I don't know where Redmond salt falls on there, on the scan of good or bad or ugly. It does come directly from Salt Lake, but and it was more expensive when you buy it in a shaker, when you buy it this way, but I am the cheapest rich person that you will ever meet. Ask my girlfriend. I will stand in line for an hour to save $75. But when we buy our Redmond salt, we figured out how to buy it by a 50-pound bag. And then we put it into what they sell, big glass containers, and then we can just dip out of that to eat it. But I know that some of these things, I just want it to be accessible to everybody. And so maybe a bigger problem would be, do you have a spot to actually store 50 pounds of salt? But we do, and then we don't have to repurchase it again for a long time. Michelle, can you hold that
Yes.
up and speak so it puts you front and center?
Yeah, so so this is the one that I found out is from Australia, and it has tested for no lead. So it's the Kirkland sea salt. You have to be careful. Kirkland is a overarching brand, and their Himalayan salt is full of lead, like as in, so you don't want their pink salt. But this one from Australia is it's white. Sometimes I liked the Celtic sea salt that was gray and heavy, but I'm finding out that they are finding lead. They can't help it. There's some, like just the way our planet has been, bastardized for so long. It's hard to find salt without lead, but we obviously don't want lead in our system, right? So if you're taking in more, this one from Australia. And the other thing I should mention is here in Canada, we have this scientist who has created this magnesium spray that is highly bioavailable, and it stores up kind of like a bank account. And the thing about magnesium is if you were taking enough, if you were ingesting enough, your bowels would loosen, right? Because it relaxes things. And so ideally it likes to draw some of it through your skin. So the spray is uncomfortable because it's wet and it's cold, but it works really well, right? So it's
Well,
called
yeah, with
it's called Ease Magnesium, and
yeah,
I have it on my site because I linked it to some of his products. He also has a black cumin seed oil that is like phenomenal. But yeah, it's really about the people that are taking the research money, the R&D, and really making sure that you're getting some quality things available to you, right?
yeah, and with the
Right.
spray magnesium, what I do is I put it on the bottom of my feet. I was told
Yeah,
by Dr. David Freeman, who's my mentor, that's the best way for it to be absorbed.
yeah. So the guy I'm talking about, if anyone wants to look him up on TikTok or anything, it is under Activation Products. His name is Ian Clark, the scientist. Yeah.
Keith, did you have something to add?
I did. Reversing to honey for a second. And I tested this myself after hearing it. So if you want to try it out yourselves, if you want to test and see whether the honey is real honey or not, put some on a saucer, put some water on top of that, and just keep swirling around, and the honey will go back into the diamonds it came from, into the combs.
Oh,
You'll see the shapes appearing on it.
that's interesting. And so, Michelle, I had a question for you. Have you read any studies on the Redmond salt?
On which one?
Redmond salt?
I haven't, but I'll tell you, there's a study that this scientist did with some people for 10 years. And he has a certain salt as well. And I have to research more into that because he didn't have it packaged when I was talking to him, but this was about a year ago. But they did this 10-year study on DNA telomeres with people, and they had to take 1 teaspoon per liter of water per 50 pounds of body weight. So if you were 150 pounds, you had 3 liters, 3 teaspoons every day. And in 10 years, their DNA telomeres didn't age when they did it consistently. So and that would cost them maybe $35 a month, he said. And also for you guys, that would be more like 20 or something. Like our exchange rate is so crazy right now. But yeah, it would be like it's a very minimal investment money wise. It's just a consistent thing, and you will notice that most of your ailments are negated from just that one practice.
So I want to just do a question. I'm going to, just by a show of hands, how many people eat out? By eat out, I mean order in or have food that somebody else prepared for you once a day? Twice a week, at least twice a week. Who does at least twice a week? How many of you go out, eat out, or have meal delivery 3 times a month? So some people do. Yeah, I just think that, the cost of eating out is way expensive compared to when we eat in, and we save so much money. Or maybe I don't save the money because I just relocated over to something that I'm buying that's more expensive, that's more all natural, right? So I want to talk about your Life 42 program a little bit. David, can you do that for us? Give us a little intro to that.
Sure, it's doing 7 simple tasks, and the 7 simple tasks are to drink an adequate amount of water. Again, ideally 1/2 your total body weight. It's to read 10 pages in a self-help book, nonfiction. It's to avoid highly processed, ultra processed, and manufactured foods. It's to eat real, holistic, whole foods. It's to avoid alcohol. Avoid the soda, diet sodas. That's all part of the manufactured stuff. And then say one affirmation, which is everything I eat and drink heals and nourishes my body, which helps me achieve and maintain excellent health. And then do 30 minutes of physical activity a day. And when I talk about physical activity, I'm talking about going for a walk, walking the dog, gardening, cleaning the house, whatever you're doing to move. And the whole purpose is to get people off the couch or away from the desk for a while. So when people say they don't have time to do exercise, okay, you don't have to exercise, but just do some physical activity. Rebel Wilson, the actress, lost 77 pounds in a year simply walking an hour each day. And I understand everybody has an hour to devote to walking each day. However, Mindy Kaling, she lost weight. And what she did is when she had a 10 or 15-minute break, she would go for a walk instead of texting friends or doing social media. So there's ways you can do physical activity that you can break it up for 5 or 10 minutes. Again, if you do 10 or 15 minutes 3 or 4 times throughout the day, you're getting an hour of physical activity in. And so those are the 7 simple tasks. You either do it or you don't. You have 5 days of grace. So if you miss doing 1 task or 2 tasks for a day, if you do 5 days or less, you're good. If you do more than 5 days, you got to start over. And the whole idea about starting over is that you want to get through the 42 days because there is the 5 day of grace in there to build those new routines and habits. And people who've had to start over 2 or 3 times are finding out they're improving each time. And again, it's a lifestyle, so there's no restrictions as far as certain things you have to avoid. There's nothing that you have to eat. It's just what you need to avoid eating.
I love that. I want to touch on one thing, and that is that, and everybody has different skin types, but I can always tell when I need water. If I feel like I need lotion for my skin, then I need water. So I need to go drink some more water, because if I'm getting adequate water, my skin doesn't get dry and I don't need lotion. And then I also want to talk a little bit about walking. So fun fact, most of you don't know about me is I'm an avid walker. I love walking. Up until a year ago, actually it was 2 years ago, I was walking a minimum of 14 miles a day. And that sounds like a huge amount, but before anybody goes like, wow, that's too much, I can't do that. Actually, yes, you can. I was an entrepreneur and I was caring for my mom at the same time, full time, 24/7. And so what I did is I would get up and do a walk to wake up for an hour, just take a walk for an hour in the morning. And then I take a walk in the evening to unwind. And each of those walks were about 5 miles. And I would do that within an hour. And then during the day, the rest of my steps counted. And so let's talk about the in-between steps, because walking is so good for you. And so many people can just do it easily. You just don't think that you can. Let me give you some tips to get your walking in, get your steps in. Number one, if you're not getting 10,000 steps a day in, go get some prescription eyeglasses and then set them down somewhere. And you'll get 10,000 steps looking for them, because you can't find them because you don't have them on. No, that was just a joke, but that is true. I tell my husband, I joke about it all the time. Like I get so many more steps when I lose my glasses. But first thing I do is to park as far away as possible. Anywhere I go, park as far away as possible. Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to speed walk in there. And so that's great, right? I also ditched the grocery shopping list. Okay, I used to have to have everything organized. Like it'd be like dairy, this is what I'm getting. Over by snacks, this is what I'm getting. Over by personal care, these are all things. No, now I just throw them on there. Random, willy-nilly, put those items on the list, and guess how I shop? From that end of the store to that end of the store to that end to that end to that end to that end. And I have my steps in by the end of the shopping trip. And so that's another way. Another way is to always avoid the elevator. Just take the stairs. Even if you take the stairs and pause and have to breathe a little bit, that's okay. Guess what else you can do? You can walk out and check the mail. Now, y'all might not have to walk as far as I do, but if I know the mail comes at 11, well, I might go check it at 9 and then check it at 10 and then check it at 11, So check it multiple times. Giving yourself somewhere that you're walking to with a purpose makes it so that you get there and get back. It just adds a little extra to it. If your mailbox is right at the end of your driveway and you have a city driveway, because mine's at the end of my driveway too, but it's a long ways away. Have your husband or your spouse, your significant other, whoever you're riding with, drop you off 2 blocks from your mailbox and walk to check your mail. And check your mail and then go on up to the house, right? And if you, anytime, like if you go park at somebody's house to see them, park further away. All those steps actually just add up. Do you have any other ideas for getting more steps in, David, that help?
Yes. What you
Okay.
do, get a milk crate. The ones at the store, I think they sell them now, where the 4 gallons of milk come in. Turn it upside down. I put a board over mine and just do, maybe 10 or 15 steps up on each leg, and do that several times. It's like walking to a step master without paying for a step master.
Ah, very good. That's a good idea. Okay, so tell us, how do we get involved with the Life 42?
Or you can just go to life42health.com,
Okay.
and that's the webpage. Or you can go to tiny URL /life42HRC, which stands for Health Reset Community.
Okay.
And it's really inexpensive. I'm only charging $10 per month. And people are like, why so little? You're undercharging. I said, I do that intentionally so no one has an excuse since they're unable to afford it. Because again, if you avoid a Starbucks or a drive-through, a McDonald's, a Burger King, whatever, it'll pay for itself in 1 month and you'll be a lot healthier. And again, it's lifestyle. So we figure out what you enjoy, that you like, that's healthy for you, and focus on that. And then we figure out what you're doing that's unhealthy, and then we attempt to reduce, substitute, and eventually eliminate.
Okay, I love this. And so I see that you have a free trial. How long is your free trial?
It's 7 days. And
Okay.
also, as part of the initial program, the $10, you get a copy of my Jaded Health book. I mail it to you. Unless it's in Canada, then I'll just send it through Amazon because it's a lot cheaper. And you also get a copy of the daily tracker. I print it off and mail it out. It's also available in the classroom on school for downloading. And then there's
And I see
individual,
that you get daily accountability, stay
Yeah.
on track with small, consistent steps. So what's the daily accountability? What does that look like?
it's the tracker in the daily tracker says to check marks. Either you did it or you didn't do it.
Okay, very good. I actually have a client who has a walking club. And so she walks with ladies, and I think that's fun.
Yeah, the other thing with the physical activity and exercise, people always ask me when they see me, well, how many hours do you spend in the gym? I don't go to the gym. I just work out at home. I can do push-ups, I can do pull-ups. I have light weights, the dumbbells anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds. But I work out maybe 10, 15 minutes at a time, half hour at most. By the time someone drives to the gym uh, and starts exercising, I'm done.
Right.
A lot less
Love that.
expensive. It gives you flexibility, so you're not locked in. You can do it anytime you want.
Well, and the real benefit of that for us entrepreneurs is how many times during your day do you just need to take a quick break? And so you can go do something like this for 10, 15 minutes. And so that's what I do. I actually have a home gym that I go in and I do one round on my equipment is 15 minutes. And then the next time I need a break, I'll go do 4 minutes on the elliptical machine. And the next time I go back to the gym for a minute, so I get a couple of those in, each of those in every day. And so that's very helpful. What are some things that they can do? Some little exercises that besides the step ups that they can do at home that are
They
easy
can,
to do.
one of my members, what she does squats, and what she does is she was having a difficult time being consistent. So I said, do you brush your teeth? She goes, yeah, twice a day. I said, well, do 5 or 10 or 15 squats every time you brush your teeth afterwards, because now you're stacking habits. So it
Yeah.
became max. So she became very consistent with it. That's one little thing you can do. Push-ups start, I'm doing 30 push-ups at a time. Most people aren't able to do that, from my understanding. Just start with, doing 3, doing 5, whatever you're doing, just build up to it. Don't start out a lot at one time, just little things. If you can't do a push-up, do a wall push-up, lean against the counter. Go for a little bit of a walk, even in your house. Just get up and move. Go to the kitchen, get a glass of water, whatever. Um, whatever thing. Try and think what else people can do. Just you can do different motions for stretching.
I
And so,
love that. I always do the ones with my arms out and go in circles.
yeah, and my understanding, Tai Chi is very good. Qigong is real good. I don't know how to do that, but I just move all the time. When I'm walking, I'm moving my arms and doing motions. I have little 4 movements that I do every day. As soon as I get out of the shower, and everybody's like, why, when you get done with the shower? Again, I stacked a habit, and my muscles are loose from the hot water because I take hot showers. So it takes me 5 minutes and I'm done, but it's something. And
Yes.
something is better than nothing.
Yeah, and as we age, we really need to keep doing things to keep limber, to keep so we can move easy. And I think I'd love to open this up to everybody, but I want to have you make sure, David, that you drop those addresses in the chat so people can go join your program. And then you also have your book that you're giving away.
The Jaded Health book, yeah.
No. Your
Oh.
9 steps to
Oh, the PDF of the 9 simple golden
PDF.
rules.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
If you drop that
I
in there
did.
too, that would be great. Yeah, and then let's open it up for questions. And then if anybody has anything else, I do know that when I had torn my meniscus at one point, ladies, this is for you. The doctor told me to take a purse and put some canned goods in it and then sit on the bed, and I could hook it over my foot and just raise my foot from hanging straight down to up in the air to build up those muscles again. And so that was a really good exercise I did. And I know it sounds really weird, but honestly, you shouldn't be eating the canned food, so you may as well use it as a weight. There's that. I see Allie walked away. Allie, when you come back, just unmute yourself and ask your questions. Does anybody else have anything? Oh, go ahead, Allie.
Hi, everyone. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I think this information is super valuable and it's a strong reminder because we do forget. I don't know, we see like, okay, life and death. For me, it's also like movement and death. I've seen a lot of people die literally because they stopped moving. It was progressively. They just started with like, oh, I don't want to go outside anymore. Oh, then I don't even want to stand up and, like go prepare something for myself in the kitchen. I don't even feel the power to go to the bathroom. These kind of things. And it starts like this. And we all have the power to be the complete opposite. Like we do have the power of creating that energy for ourselves. And I don't think it's a huge goal, like to walk a bit more, to walk several times a day, even if it's like, 1 minute there, 1 minute back. Um, it's really just a matter of habits. And I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes, someone in the process of dying slowly, a person who was super active, a person who just decided that it was not worth it anymore, I guess. And I don't think we should let that happen to any of us. I movement is life. Sleeping well is life. Our emotions, I think that is also very important in all this. If we are in a permanent state of stress, I mean, we're not doing any good to ourselves either. But I think it's all about habits, and I think a program like this that is for 42 days, and like with a company and the support we need sometimes, to start moving, it's an amazing way to start if we feel like we're really stuck in this.
I love that. And I think, David, so I'm not saying you're going to raise your prices because I don't know and I haven't asked you this, but if we get in at the $10 a month and you do decide in 2 years that you've got 1,000 members and you want to raise your prices, do we get to stay at the $10 a month?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then I'm going to say, if you feel like you don't have motivation, please go to the nursing home. Please just go to the nursing home, because I went to the nursing home and I was in a room visiting two ladies, both obese ladies laying in bed. One of them soiled themselves because they had to wait for somebody to come get them out and get them up to go to the bathroom. I went home and told my husband, I'm going to be a lot of things in life. That's not one of them. I will not put myself in that situation. I will get up and do whatever I have to be able to be healthy. Nicole, why don't you go ahead and then we'll go to Diana, or then we'll go to Claudia. Sorry, Claudia.
Oh, thanks. I just want to say, hey, David, I love what you're doing. We've shared a few stages together, and I love how easy you make it. Because it's just simple stuff. Even, Coleen, where you're talking about food, it's just simple stuff we can do a little bit at a time that will change your health. And it's also bringing attention to what you're doing or what you can just easily eliminate because, when you diet, it's just so hard if, especially if you dump everything out in your kitchen, then what? Besides the new food bill that you have to buy to replenish your kitchen, what do you do? So it's just simple stuff to make sure that we do it. And then, of course, it reflects your business because we make things so difficult. We're busy being busy and getting up and doing a few things. So I want to say, I applaud you. Glad you're here and you can share your message with some more people.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that.
All right, and Claudia?
Hi. Well, first of all, I'm excited to be here and I've met David and I love what you're doing. And I kind of forgot what I was going to say originally. You were talking about something just now that, oh, the nursing homes. Okay. Um, well, before I go into that, I've talked to David and I love what he's doing because it is so essential for us to kind of like love ourselves. Basically, that's what we're doing when we start thinking about it. I had a conversation with someone this weekend that I was like, you eating cereals every day is not actually good for you, when he's thinking that, yeah, no, I'm good, I eat cereal for breakfast. But going into the nursing home, I do art and I work at some nursing homes, and that has shifted the way I see life because it's crazy. It's like young people and like people even in their mid 60s, like they're there. And depending, I'm in New York, and I don't know if every nursing home, but at least some of the ones that I go to, they have to be in a wheelchair. They have to stay. They don't allow them to walk, which I think is terrible. But a lot of the problems they have can be avoided if they just kind of like start walking, start moving more, start really thinking about eating, even eating less, because intermittent fasting also helps. So I really appreciate this conversation. It's a good one. Thank
I
you.
love that too. And David, before we go, we have a question in the comments. Don't let me forget to get to that, but go ahead, Diana.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about the nursing home. I was in a nursing home. They called it a nursing home, but it's a rehab center or whatever. After I had a massive stroke in 2016, in my spinal cord. And the nursing home is very depressing, just like Coleen was saying, it's very depressing. And most of the people in there, um, have, very serious things going on. But what I was gonna say is, when you're paralyzed like I am, and I lost weight during doing intermittent fasting because I can't move the lower part of my body. So that worked for me. I lost over 80 pounds. And but what I was gonna say is like when you can't move and you're going through all that, with paralysis, and moving is good for you and it's great to be active, but when you can't, just just always remember and have some compassion, like especially in these conversations about people who are in those states of, like me, that's
I
all I was gonna
think,
say.
yeah, I think, Diana, that the good news is exactly what David started this conversation with, and I'm not sure if you were here in the beginning.
No, I don't think no, I wasn't.
Okay, so David, do you want to go ahead and touch on that again about the biggest thing that contributes to our weight?
Yeah, 90 to 95% of our weight issues are based on what we eat and drink and put in our mouth. It's not the
Yeah.
exercise or physical movement. I say
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
very important for physical activity for overall health, but it's a myth if you want to shed some weight.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what I learned. And uh like I said, I lost a lot of weight, and I it wasn't so much exercise, it was just like what he said, what you put in, and when I stopped eating as much and started watching more of what I ate, it made a difference. So,
And so I want to know, Diana, how you did your intermittent fasting, and then also back to what Allie was saying, were you doing some mental exercises as well?
okay. How you said you wanted to know how I did my intermittent fasting, and what was the other question?
Were you doing mental exercises for emotional
Okay.
well-being as well at the time? I mean,
Okay.
I know you
Yeah.
do all the time anyways, but were there some
Yeah.
specific ones for your situation?
Yes. When I did the intermittent fasting, I would do it probably every 10 to 12 hours. I would only eat twice. I didn't eat 3 meals a day. If I got hungry or whatever at the beginning, because that was hard, you used to eating and not eating, I would like snack, but it was a healthy snack, and I watch my calories and everything like that. And I drink a lot of water and things like that. And then it completely changed my metabolism too, because before my metabolism was not good, and when I did that, it made a huge difference, huge difference. And as far as a mental and emotional, yeah, I did affirmations every day. I'm smart, I'm caring, I'm loving, I'm lovable, things like that, to help strengthen my emotional. And then I did a deep dive journey on me. And I mean, talking about emotional deep dive, looking at my issues, like emotional issues, things like that, triggers. Where did it come from? Where did it start? And when I found that out, that helped me too.
I love that.
Hmm.
Okay, so David, Lynn has a question in the comments. She says, how do you feel about the changes that are being proposed by RFK regarding food? And I'm going to chime in on that first. And I think getting rid of the food dye is amazing. Huge, 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 huge plus in life. And go ahead, David, you take that now.
What did you say? Getting rid of what?
The food dye, the R5.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, think about it. In this country, we have more chemicals in our food, and those chemicals are banned in Canada, in the EU, European countries, China. So why is it okay for us to consume it when it's not okay for other people in other countries? And the answer is money. The lobbyists, pay a lot of money to get those things promoted. So I think he's doing a good job of changing that. Also, the food pyramid, they have it upside down. They have it the wrong way. Um, Same, getting back to eggs again, if you see that it says cage free or range free, again, that's deceptive marketing because usually those hens are in a big barn and only a few can get outside. And they're allowed to say that. And then it'll say on the cart, maybe grain fed or special feed. Well, that's corn and soy. So what the egg is eating is what's going in the egg. I mean, what the hen is eating is going in the egg. Why would you want to put that in your body? So that's why a pasture egg is so much different because that's where the hen has 108 square feet of being outdoors and they forage for their own food. Little things like that. So
And
yeah,
I was speaking with someone recently who said they were gonna we're talking about making chicken for dinner, and I said we only have 2 roosters, and so it's not enough to feed us. And they said, "Are you kidding me? Our family eats 1 chicken." I said, "1 chicken you buy at the grocery store is different than 2 roosters at home. Like we need 4 roosters at home because an actual chicken, I mean, yes, when they're running around and everything, they look like they're furry and big. They're about this big, right? But then when you push their feathers in and pick up their body, they're about this big, literally. And that's just an average chicken. And so the ones that you see at the grocery store have been given things to make them gain weight, to make them fat, all of the things. Now, if you went and got a meat bird, like we have egg there, to be clear, all chickens lay eggs, but we have chickens specifically for laying eggs. And so they're a smaller bird anyways, but you could get a meat bird that's a little bit bigger, that's maybe this big. But you still need 2 of them to feed your family. So
yeah,
as long as you're not getting it from the grocery store, so they take a little bit more, right?
exactly. I have a little quote on my desk. It says, attitude is everything. The older I get, the healthier I become. The healthier I become, the more motivated I am to be healthier. And my philosophy is I'm growing younger as I get older.
I'm definitely slowing down and taking time to take care of me a lot more as I get older, right? I'm prioritizing my health. I do understand, when my kids were in dance, we would go every Tuesday and Thursday. I had to drive them an hour each way to dance. And so we'd pick up Little Caesars or Taco Bell's 10 for 10 or, I'm so glad those days are gone. Anyways, this has
Yeah.
been amazing. Thank you guys so much, everyone, for coming. David, do you have any final thoughts?
No, just the one thing I have here in my little notebook that I read from is health is the foundation upon which every dream, every relationship, and every achievement is built. Without it, even the greatest success feels empty. Yet too often we take it for granted, pushing our bodies past their limits, neglecting rest, abusing our minds with stress and toxic habits, and telling ourselves there will be time to make time to heal later. Tomorrow never comes, and if we put off till tomorrow what we can do today, we'll never get done what we need to do.